What is the saddest movie scene ever? The Fox and the Hound, when the old woman has to leave Todd in the game preserve to save him, and her tears as she drives away without him. When Dumbo's mom rocked him from behind her cage loudly crying. Not the saddest scene ever, but one that always gets me is A Star is Born. When Jackson's dog is standing outside the garage looking in where Jackson has just hung himself. Anything with a sad animal just breaks my heart. Emma Thompson in her bedroom after she receives the Joni Mitchell CD for Christmas. The first movie in The Land Before Time. Broke my heart. Still does. In The Green Mile, when John Coffey Michael Clark Duncan gets executed. Don't Put Me in the Dark. Gets me every time. The scene in Coco where Miguel is trying to get Mama Coco to remember her father. My daughters and I all cried at the theater. Mama Coco reminded us so much of my grandmother. At that point we had lost 3 of my grandparents. 1 each year. My grandmother was all we had left. She died a few years after the movie came out. My daughter hasn't watched it since because she knows she will cry even harder. Hachiko waiting for his friend to come back every day at the train station. When Giovanni Ribisi's character dies in Saving Private Ryan, after telling the story about pretending to be asleep when his mom checked in on him. Simba begging Mufasa to wake up. That tiny little help. When the mom tucks her kids in and the old couple go to bed together in Titanic knowing they're going to die. Scene from Slumdog Millionaire where they blind children to make them more effective beggars. The I Could Have Saved More scene where Schindler has an emotional breakdown after the workers gave him a ring engraved with the quotation, "Whoever saves one life saves the world entire," and was then comforted by the workers in the movie Schindler's List. People judge me for this answer. I would argue that Tom Hanks losing Wilson in Cast Away was the saddest scene ever. I mean, he was losing his only companion of many years and ultimately losing his last connection to the outside world. I could not even begin to imagine how crushing losing Wilson would have been for me in that situation. For me, it's the dangling shoe reveal in Jojo Rabbit. I don't want to give spoilers because it's such an effective scene. But good God, do I get choked up quick. Few crying, loudly crying. His glasses, he can't see without his glasses. When Spirit gets taken away from his mother and the herd of other horses, Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. Edit. The whole movie makes me cry now as an adult. But as a kid, I didn't cry while watching it. One of my favorite childhood movies. I used to watch it over and over. Artax? You're sinking. Artaax. Brooks was here. For me, it will always be that one scene in Click where Adam Sandler's character is watching back his last interaction he had with his dad while he was in the autopilot thing for the remote. Lost my own dad at 12 years old to cancer, and it kills me every time, no matter how many times I've seen it. Pensive face. When Cedric Diggory's dad wails, "That's my son," makes my eyes tear up every time. Dumbo's mom sticking her trunk outside the cage window to rock him to sleep. Castaway, when he gets home and his wife had remarried. The Superman scene in Iron Giant. The Green Mile. "Please, boss. Don't put that thing over my face. Don't put me in the dark. I's afraid of the dark." The end of life is beautiful. Dead Poets Society suicide scene. In the Interstellar movie, when Murph's age is same as her father's. It feels like a stab in the heart. I Am Tired, Boss. The introduction of Up. Owen Wilson putting down Marley. The scene from Moana where her grandmother is dying. And then she turns into the manta ray. My friend and I both sobbed like babies in the theater. Towards the end of What's Eating Gilbert Grape, when Arnie thinks his mom is hiding, loudly crying, loudly crying, loudly crying. When Rocket let out that gut-wrenching cry after watching his best friends die, it broke me. The end of Coco when she sings Remember Me with her grandson. You are crying. I'm not crying. Shut up. The scene in Saving Private Ryan, where Mrs. Ryan gets all 3 letters at once. Homeward Bound when Shadow says leave him when he's stuck in that mine or hole, whatever it was, lol. When the Hendersons have to send Harry back into the woods and the father slaps him and yells. I'm 40 now and still think about that scene regularly. Have we forgotten the graveyard scene in Steel Magnolias? I can jog all the way to Texas, but my daughter couldn't. She never could, loudly crying. When Andy gives away his toys in Toy Story 3, the incinerator had me primed for waterworks, and then that scene just slid the knife in. Maybe not the saddest, but in the movie Hope Floats, when the little girl wants to go with her daddy, and he rejects her. She is standing at the edge of the driveway screaming and crying Daddy YY as he drives away. Without a care. Shatters me every time. Manchester by the Sea, if you know you know. Stepmom. When the mom is dying and they hang pics all over the house. So real and so gut-wrenching. I Am Legend when Will Smith had to kill his dog. Ending of American History X. Most recently, most scenes with Baby Rocket in Guardians of the Galaxy V3 were extremely sad to me. I teared up during a few of them. Boromir's last stand, defending Merry and Pippin. I've heard people say I could have saved more scene from Schindler's List. But it's always the scene where the Jews put the rocks on Oscar's grave that has me in bits. More of a documentary. Dear Zachary. Sophie's Choice. Enough said. Rue's death in the Hunger Games killed me. I was a mess. When they dipped the innocent shoe in paint thinner in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Bridge to Terabithia. When the kid dies because his friend wasn't there. Such a sad scene, even I cried tears of pure muscle and skulls and daggers, 'cause that's how manly I am. Bathroom scene in Pursuit of Happiness. Not sad. More bittersweet. The game of catch scene at the end of Field of Dreams. I don't know a man alive who doesn't tear up while watching it. Big Fish. I'll never dry out. The end of Blow. Old Johnny Depp thinks his daughter is visiting him in prison, but turns out to be only his imagination. Philip explaining why he was so hard on Shaun right before turning Shaun of the Dead. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom when the Brachiosaurus gets left on the island. She's basically the first dinosaur we all see in Jurassic Park and the last one left on the island. Too large to be saved. It's a metaphor for the whole concept of Jurassic Park. Requiem for a Dream. When she chooses the drugs. The end of Brokeback Mountain. When that one Ewok goes to wake his buddy up to keep fighting and realizes he's dead. Ending of The Mist. So sad and effed up that even Stephen King applauded the way they changed the ending, because in all his imaginations, he couldn't have thought of something like that. The ending of Grave of the Fireflies. The ending of Pan's Labyrinth. The ending of AI by Spielberg. Generally the endings of sad movies. Many parts of Dancer in the Dark, but especially the ending. My Girl. Honeybee loudly crying. Bing Bong. Chief realizing that McMurphy has been lobotomized and killing him.